Hey guys, it's Caleb back again with more Goosebumps. Yes, it's October again, and I am now reading more Goosebumps stories, which will hopefully be entertaining to you, but I don't know. So let's get started. Today we are reading R.L. Stine Goosebumps, The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, with the little caption saying, "What will wake the dead?" And, this cover is okay. It's a mummy with glowing red eyes, standing against a wall of some kind. Stone wall. But I don't know what it's for. It's not like hieroglyphics or anything. To the back. Something dead has been here. No shit. It's a mummy. It's been dead for a while. Gabe just got lost in a pyramid. Fantastic. That is exactly the place you want to get lost in. 1 minute, his crazy cousin Sari was right ahead of him in the pyramid tunnel. The next minute, she disappeared. But Gabe isn't alone. Someone else is in the pyramid too. Someone. Or something. Gabe doesn't believe in the curse of the mummy's tomb, because all mummies have curses on them. I don't know anything about mummies, okay? Yes. But that doesn't mean that the curse isn't real. Or does it? Reader beware, you're in for a scare. Goosebumps. Also available from R.L. Stine, Let's Get Invisible. Not suggestive at all. I saw the Great Pyramid and got thirsty. Chapter 1. Maybe it was all the sand, so dry and yellow it seemed to stretch on forever. It even made the sky look dry. I poked my mom in the side. "Mom, I'm really thirsty." "Not now," she said. She had one hand up on her forehead, shielding her eyes from the bright sun as she stared up at the enormous pyramid. "Not now? What does not now mean? I was thirsty. Now." Someone bumped me from behind and apologized in a foreign language. I never dreamed when I saw the Great Pyramid there'd be so many other tourists. I guess half of the people in the world decided to spend their Christmas vacation in Egypt this year. That's one hell of a way to spend Christmas. "But Mom," I said, "I didn't mean to whine. It was just that my throat was so dry. I'm really thirsty." If Caleb can turn the page. "We can't get you a drink now," she answered, staring at the pyramid. "Stop acting like you're 4. You're 12, remember?" 12-year-olds get thirsty too," I muttered. "All the sand in the air, it's making me gag." "Look at the pyramid," she said, sounding a little irritated. "That's why we came here. We didn't come here to get a drink. You're in the fucking desert. You need to stay hydrated. Were you too fucking stupid not to bring water of some kind?" Because there are different kinds of water, by the way. Caleb knows this. She just said it. It's not like she's talking half out of her mind or something. "But I'm choking," I cried, gasping and holding my throat. Okay, so I wasn't choking. I exaggerated a little, just trying to get her attention. But she pulled the brim of her straw hat down. I continued to stare up at the pyramid, which shimmered. Wait, she pulled her hat down, but she's staring up. Then how could she see the pyramid if she pulled her hat down? I'm assuming over her eyes. and continued to stare up at the pyramid, which shimmered in the heat. I decided to try my dad. As usual, he was studying the handful of guidebooks he always carried everywhere. I don't think he'd even looked at the pyramid yet. He always misses everything because he always has his nose buried in a guidebook. Use a different word than always after you use the word always. Gets a little tedious and redundant and doesn't make your writing sound smart or different. Sure, you're writing for kids, but that doesn't mean your kids are not going to notice that and think it's weird. Dad, I'm really thirsty, I said, whispering as if my throat were strained to get my message across. Wow, do you know how wide the pyramid is? He asked, staring at a picture of the pyramid in his book. I'm thirsty, Dad. It's 13 acres wide, Gabe, he said, really excited. Do you really know what it's made of? Do you really know? Yes, I'm inserting words now, 'cause I'm special. Do you know what it's made of? I wanted to say silly putty, because he's not even paying attention to me. He's always testing me whenever we go on a trip. He always asks me a million questions like that. I don't think I've ever answered one right. Some kind of stone, I answered. That's right. He smiled at me, then turned back to his book. It's made from limestone blocks. It says here that some of the blocks weigh up to 1,000 tons. Whoa, I said. That's more than you and Mom to get put together. Okay, to harp on stereotypes at the moment, I don't think you want to make jokes about Mom's weight at this point in time. Just saying. Some women actually don't give two shits about their weight, but hey, it's a thing. Also, men do care about their weight, so I don't think you should compare your dad to a pyramid. Just saying. He turned his eyes from the book and frowned at me. Not funny, Gabe. Just kidding, I said. Well, duh. Clearly you're joking, and clearly that's not funny. Why are you saying this in reverse order? And I don't get this. He says it's not funny, but you say you're just joking. This is stupid. Dad's a little sensitive about his weight. See, I told you this. I told you not to go this way. Why didn't you say I wasn't meaning it like that? Or, Dad, I wasn't even thinking about, you being uncomfortable about your weight. I was just saying, a little sensitive about his weight, so I tried to tease him about it as often as I can, which would make him more self-conscious and upset. I understand this is a kid, a 12-year-old who's starting to get into, the part where he's going to be really concerned about his looks, but isn't quite there yet. Don't do that to people. That hurts more than you know and does psychologically damage somebody. Don't do it. You stop that now. How do you think the ancient Egyptians moved stones that weighed 1,000 tons, he asked. Quiz time wasn't over. I took a guess. In trucks. He laughed. Trucks, they didn't have the wheel. I shielded my eyes and stared up at the pyramid. It was really huge, much bigger than it looked in pictures, and much drier. I couldn't imagine how they pulled those big stones across the sand without wheels. I don't know, I confessed. I'm really thirsty. No one knows how they did it, Dad said, so it was a trick question. Well, there are a lot of theories, and I think the most plausible one that I've less known of was they probably had wood, like they took logs, like the roundest logs they had, and they would use horses or some other pack animal and people to basically pull it across, basically rolling logs under it. And it would be time consuming, but it would be doable. Now, any other method I'm not familiar with, I just know that's the theory. Dad, I really need a drink. Not now, he said. He squinted at the pyramid. Gives you a funny feeling, doesn't it? It gives me a thirsty feeling, I said, trying to get my point across. No, I mean, it gives me a funny feeling to think that our ancestors, yours and mine, Gabe, may have walked around these pyramids, or even helped to build them. So you're descended from Egyptians? It gives me kind of a chill. How about you? Or, in some circles, Jewish? I mean, I think that's largely disproven from the Bible, but I'm not really familiar with it, so I'm not sure. Let's see. It gives me kind of a chill. How about you? I guess, I told him. He was right. It was kind of exciting. We're Egyptian, you see. I mean, both sets of my grandparents came from Egypt. They moved to the United States around 1930. My mom and my dad were both born in Michigan. We were all very excited to see the country our ancestors came from. I wonder if your Uncle Ben is down inside that pyramid right now, Dad said, shielding his eyes from the sun with one hand. Uncle Ben Hassad? I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce this last name. Hassad. I had nearly forgotten about my uncle, the famous archaeologist, because he has to be famous. Uncle Ben was another one of the reasons we had decided to come to Egypt over the holidays. That and the fact that my mom and dad had some business to do in Cairo and Alexandria and some other places. As you do. Mom and Dad have their own business. They sell refrigeration equipment. It usually isn't very exciting, but sometimes they travel to neat places like Egypt, and I get to go with them. Because it's the desert and it's really hot there. Get it? It's not like, they got stores and shit and air conditioning and crap over there like we do. I turned my eyes to the pyramids and thought about my uncle. Uncle Ben and now I'm imagining Spider-Man, and his workers were digging around in the Great Pyramid, exploring and discovering new mummies, I guess. They had always been fascinated by our ancestors' homeland. He had lived in Egypt for many years. Uncle Ben was an expert on pyramids and mummies. I even saw his picture once in National Geographic. When are we going to see Uncle Ben? I asked, tugging Dad's arm. I accidentally tugged too hard, and the guidebooks fell out of his hands. I helped him pick them up. Not today, Dad said, making a face. He didn't like to bend over and pick up things. His stomach got in the way. Or, I don't know. If he's like me, he's a little anxiety about everything. I don't know what it is, but you feel people are staring at you when you bend over. And I know it's stupid, and I know it's dumb, but you get like that for some reason. And so it bothers you. It's not about your stomach getting in the way, it's people staring at your fat ass, I guess. Ben's going to meet us in Cairo in a few days. Why don't we go to the pyramid and see if he's there now? I asked impatiently. We're not allowed, Dad replied. Look, camels! Mom poked me on the shoulder and pointed. Sure enough, some people had arrived on camels. One of the camels seemed to be having a coughing fit. I guess he was thirsty too. The people riding the camels were tourists, and they looked very uncomfortable. They didn't seem to know what to do next. Do you know how to get down from a camel? I asked my dad. He was squinting at the pyramid, studying the top of it. No, how? You don't get down from a camel, I said. You get down from a duck. What? I don't get it. How do you get down from a camel? I don't know how. You get down from You don't get down from a camel, you get down from a duck. I know, it's a very old joke, but my dad and I never get tired of it. I don't get it. It's not funny if I don't understand why it's supposed to be funny. Do you see the camels? Mom said. I'm not blind, I replied. Being thirsty always puts me in a bad mood. Besides, what was so exciting about camels? They were really gross looking, and they smelled like my gym socks after a basketball game. What's your problem? Mom asked, fiddling with her straw hat. I told you, I said, not meaning to sound so angry. I'm thirsty. Gabe, really? She glanced at Dad, then went back to staring at the pyramid. Dad, do you think Uncle Ben could take us inside the pyramid? I asked enthusiastically. That would be really outstanding. What? Who says that? Who talks like that when you're 12? I didn't. I said that would be cool. Or I could even see radical, even though that's heavily outdated by now. I still say stuff is cool. Why not say cool? Why would you say really outstanding? I don't understand. No, I don't think so, he said. He tucked his guidebooks into his armpit so he could raise his binoculars to his eyes. I really don't think so, Gabe. I don't think it's allowed. Why not ask? I couldn't hide my disappointment. I had all these fantasies about going into the pyramid with my uncle, even though looking at it makes you thirsty. Discovering mummies and ancient treasures, fighting off ancient Egyptians who had come back to life to defend their sacred tomb, and escaping after a wild chase just like Indiana Jones. Because that all happens in real life. I'm sure it does. I'm afraid you'll just have to appreciate the pyramid from the outside, Dad said, peering over the yellow sand, trying to focus the binoculars. I've already appreciated it, I told him glumly. Can we go get a drink now? Little did I know that in a few days, Mom and Dad would be gone, and I would be deep inside the pyramid we were staring at. Not just inside it, but trapped inside it, sealed inside it, probably forever. Ooh, ominous. I'm getting kind of tired of these books doing that, because it doesn't really... clearly shit happens. As a child, you know this, even when you're reading a book. Otherwise, it would just be a one-chapter book about a kid bitching. So, clearly shit happens in a way that you don't plan it, that you don't expect it to happen. Which is why it's a horror story. I don't need you to break out of the narrative to tell me, little did I know, shit was going to happen in a couple of days. I can figure that out. Stop it. Chapter 2. We drove from Al-Jazah, A-L-G-J-I-Z-A-H, back to Cairo in the funny little rental car Dad had picked up at the airport. It wasn't a long drive, but it seemed long to me. The car was just a little bit bigger than some of my old remote control cars, and my head hit the ceiling with every bump. Ow. I brought my Game Boy with me, but Mom made me put it away so that I could watch the Nile as the road followed along its bank. It was very wide and very brown. No one else in your class is seeing the Nile this Christmas, Mom said, the hot wind blowing her brown hair through the open car window. Can I play with my Game Boy now? I asked. When you get right down to it, a river is a river. An hour or so later, we were back in Cairo with its narrow, crowded streets. Wait, I thought you said it wasn't a long car ride. It wasn't a long drive, but it seemed to take long to me. An hour is kind of a long time to be stuck in a car. I've been stuck in a car for like 4 hours going somewhere. But, really, an hour is not... It is a long time. An hour or so later, we were back in Cairo with its narrow, crowded streets. Dad made a wrong turn and drove us into some kind of market. and we were trapped in a little alley behind a herd of goats for nearly half an hour. I didn't get a drink till we got back to the hotel, and by that time my tongue was the size of a salami. What? Okay. And hanging down to the floor just like Elvis's. What? What? I don't understand this sentence. That doesn't make any sense. Did Elvis hang out his tongue and that was so long it touched the floor? Also, what kind of salami are we talking about? I've seen, very small pieces of salami. I don't understand this entire paragraph. These are Cocker Spaniel back home. Oh, well, why don't you say so? Because I'm immediately going to be thinking about, the guy, not a dog. Also, yes, I get it. Hound dog, and we named our dog Elvis. I'll say one nice thing about Egypt. The Coke tastes just as good as the Coke back home. It's the classic Coke, too, not the other kind. And they give you plenty of ice, which I like to crunch with my teeth. I guess Coca-Cola was sponsoring them? So as well as the National Geographic. Are we talking about new Coke or Coke made with aspartame? I mean, what are we talking about? How is it different from one place to the other aside from probably sugar amount? We had a suite in the hotel, 2 bedrooms and a sort of living room. If you looked out the window, you could see a tall glass skyscraper across the street, just like you'd see in any city. There was a TV in the living room, or what amounted to a living room, but everyone spoke Arabic on it. Okay, granted, I don't know much about Egypt, and I especially don't know anything about Cairo. But I don't think Arabic is a language. Isn't that more of like a region, a group of languages? Because I could say probably any one of them is Arabic, or Arabic as, it can be pronounced by somebody who doesn't know how to say Arabic, or just doesn't think to say Arabic like me. But I'm going to have to look that up later, because I think this is stereotypical and very wrong. The shows didn't look too interesting anyway, mainly a lot of news. Well, you're at a hotel. They probably only get certain channels. I don't know what their equivalent of cable would be if back then anyway, they would even have cable. I assume they would have some kind of satellite or cable, but I don't know. I've never been to Cairo. The only channel in English was CNN, but that was news, too. Well, no shit. We had just started to talk about where to go for dinner when the phone rang. Dad went to the bedroom to answer it. A few minutes later, he called Mom in, and I could hear the two of them discussing something. They were talking very quietly, so I figured it had something to do with me, and they didn't want me to hear it. As usual, I was right. Because you're always right. They both came out of the bedroom a few minutes later, looking kind of worried. My first thought was that my grandmother had called to say that something bad had happened to Elvis back home. What's wrong? I asked. Who called? Your dad and I have to go to Alexandria right away, Mom said, sitting down beside me on the couch. Huh? Alexandria? We weren't supposed to go there until the end of the week. Business, Dad said. An important customer wants to meet with us first thing tomorrow morning. We have to take a plane that leaves in an hour, Mom said. But I don't want to go, I told him, jumping up from the couch. I want to stay in Cairo and see Uncle Ben. I want to go to the pyramids with him. You promised. Well, first of all, they didn't promise to, do anything with pyramids. And I don't remember them promising anything to do with your uncle. You were just supposed to meet them later. Also, what's wrong with going to Alexandria for a day or two and then coming back? I mean, sure, that's a little more money, but I don't see the problem here. We can go to Alexandria and just go ahead and do all of our business in Alexandria that we were going to do later in the week, and then just go back to Cairo. No problem. And again, I don't really know anything about Egypt, so I can't say how logical something like this would be to do or not. We argued about it for a short while. They tried to convince me that there were a lot of cool things to see in Alexandria, but I held my ground. Finally, Mom had an idea. She went into the bedroom, and I heard her making a phone call to someone. A few minutes later, she came back with a smile on her face. "I talked to Uncle Ben," she announced. "Wow. Do they have phones in the pyramid?" I asked, because I'm stupid, like a fucking idiot. "No, I talked to him at the small lodge he's staying at in Al-Jazah. Am I supposed to pronounce that with an S? I don't know," she replied. "He said he'd come to take care of you, if you want, while your dad and I were in Alexandria." Okay, so they can come back, or at least send him to them. So why not have suggested that or thought about that in the first place? Yeah, this was starting to sound outstanding, or very cool, or awesome, or something. Why would you say outstanding? Uncle Ben is one of the coolest guys I've ever known. Sometimes I couldn't believe he was Mom's brother. "It's your choice, Gabe," she said, glancing at my dad. "You can come with us, or you can stay with Ben till we get back." Why not go to fucking start with if they're coming back anyway? There's no problem here. There is seriously no problem. This kid is fucking stupid. Some choice. I didn't have to think about it for more than 1/18th of a second. "I'll stay with Uncle Ben," I declared. "One other thing," Mom said, grinning for some reason. "You might want to think about this." "I don't care what it is," I insisted. I choose Uncle Ben." "Sorry is also on Christmas vacation," Mom said, "and she's been staying with him too." "Barf!" I cried, and I flung myself down onto the couch and began pounding the cushions with both fists. "You are 12 years old! You're not like 5! What the fuck is wrong with you? And also, who says barf? Is that a thing people said in the 90s? Because I never heard it. And I lived in the 90s. Sorry is Uncle Ben's stuck-up daughter, my only cousin. She's the same age as me, 12, and she thinks she's so great. She goes to boarding school in the United States, because we have boarding schools? Well, her dad works in Egypt. She's really pretty, and she knows it, and she's smart. And the last time I saw her, she was an inch taller than me. That was last Christmas, I guess. She thought she was really hot stuff because she could get to the last level of Super Mario Land. But it wasn't fair because I don't have Super Nintendo, only regular Nintendo. So I never get to practice. Yes, there was Nintendo and then there was Super Nintendo. We had a Super Nintendo, but we only had 2 games for it, and that was Mario and Duck Hunt and Bubble Bobble, which I called Bubble Booble, because I couldn't say bubble as a kid. I think that's what she liked about me best, that she could beat me at games and things. Sari is the most competitive person I know. She has to be first and best at everything. If everyone around is catching the flu, she has to be the first one to catch it. That doesn't make any sense, because I would think the best thing would be not to catch the flu, and maybe being the only one who had a good immune system, but whatever. "Stop pounding the couch like that," Mom said. She grabbed my arms. She grabbed my arm and pulled me to my feet. "Well, yeah, you're acting like a complete idiot. Does that mean you changed your mind? You're coming with us?" Dad asked. I thought about it. "No, I'll stay here with Uncle Ben," I decided. "And you won't fight with Sari?" Mom asked. "She fights with me," I said. "Your mom and I have to hurry," Dad said. They disappeared into the bedroom to pack. I turned on the TV and watched some kind of game show in Arabic, which I'm pretty sure is a region thing and not, like, there's the catch-all, we speak English, but we don't speak exactly the same English as Canada does. Their words are different, and us in Canada don't speak the same English that England does, that Australia does. We all speak English, but our English is different, you know? And so it would kind of be like saying somebody speaks Arabic, but they don't speak Arabic. There are different languages within that. Again, I'm not sure because I haven't really looked up this kind of crap, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong, and I don't like that the book is using it. The contestants kept laughing a lot. I couldn't figure out why. I hardly know a word of Arabic. After a while, Mom and Dad came out again, which, again, I would say, you probably don't know Arabic because they're speaking a language that isn't actually called Arabic. I don't know why you're calling it Arabic. Dragging suitcases. We'll never get to the airport in time, Dad said. I talked to Ben, Mom told me, brushing her hair with her hand. He'll be here in an hour and a half. Gabe, you don't mind staying alone here for just an hour, do you, huh? Not much of an answer, I'll admit. But her question caught me by surprise. I mean, it never occurred to me that my own parents would leave me all alone in a big hotel in a strange city where I didn't even know the language. I mean, how could they do that to me? No problem, I said. I'll be fine. I'll just watch TV until he comes. Ben's on his way already, Mom said. He and Sorry will be here in no time, and I phoned down to the hotel manager. He said he'd have someone look in on you from time to time. Where is the bellhop? Dad asked, nervously pacing to the door and back. I called him down there 10 minutes ago. Just stay here and wait for Ben, okay? Mom said to me, walking up behind the couch, leaning over and squeezing my ears. Squeezing my ears? Okay. For some reason, she thinks I like that. Why don't you say, Mom, I don't really like that or understand why you do that. Just put your hands on my shoulders or give me a hug or something. Don't go out or anything. Just wait here for him. She bent down and kissed me on the forehead. I won't move, I promised. I'll stay right here. On the couch. I won't go to the bathroom or anything. Can you ever be serious? Mom asked, shaking her head. There was a loud knock on the door. The bellhop, a bent-over old man who didn't look as if he could pick up a feather pillow, had arrived to take the bags. Mom and Dad, looking very worried, gave me hugs and more final instructions, and told me once again to stay in the room. The door closed behind them, and it was suddenly very quiet. Very quiet. Even though I have the TV on, and, I could hear the TV. I turned up the TV just to make it a little noisier. The game show had gone off, and now a man in a white suit was reading the news in Arabic. Yes, I get it. Arabic. I'm not scared, I said aloud, but I had kind of a tight feeling in my throat. I walked to the window and looked out. The sun was nearly down. The shadow of the skyscraper slanted over the street and onto the hotel. I picked up my coke glass and took a sip. It was watery and flat. Well, it might be watery, but I don't think it would go flat that fast. Unless you've had it out for hours. Which, why would you do that? My stomach growled. I suddenly realized I was hungry. Room service, I thought. Then I decided I better not. What if I called and they spoke only Arabic? Why did you think of that and why your parents were still there? I glanced at the clock, 7:20. I wished Uncle Ben would arrive. I wasn't scared. I just wished he'd arrive. Okay, maybe I was a little nervous. I paced back and forth for a bit. I tried playing Tetris on the Game Boy, but I couldn't concentrate, and the light wasn't very good. Surrey's probably a champ at Tetris, I thought bitterly. Where were they? What was taking so long? They said an hour, dude. It ain't been no hour. I began to have horrible, frightening thoughts. What if they can't find the hotel? What if they get mixed up and go to the wrong hotel? What if they're in a terrible car crash and die? This kid needs to go and get on some good medicine. He apparently has, like, major anxiety issues. And I'm all by myself in Cairo for days and days. Well, considering the hotel said they would check in on you and make sure you're okay until your uncle shows up to pick you up, I don't think that's going to be a possibility. I know they were dumb thoughts, but they're the kind of thoughts you have when you're alone in a strange place, waiting for someone to come. Not really. No, they're not. I glanced down and realized I had taken the mummy hand out of my jean pocket. When in the fuck did you get that? Why are you only mentioning this now? It was small, the size of a child's hand. A little hand wrapped in a papery brown gauze. I had bought it at a garage sale a few years ago, and I always carried it around as a good luck charm. Why? What? Why are you explaining this now? Shouldn't this been the first thing you talked about? Whatever. The kid who sold it to me called it the summoner. The kid, he said it was used to summon evil spirits or something. I didn't care about that. I just thought it was an outstanding bargain for $2. I mean, what a great thing to find at a garage sale. Are you sure it's a real mummified hand? Also, wouldn't the fact, being so old, wouldn't it just disintegrate? And maybe it was even real. I tossed it from hand to hand as I paced the length of the living room. The TV was starting to make me nervous, so I clicked it off. But now the quiet was making me nervous. I slapped the mummy hand against my palm and kept pacing. Where were they? They should have been here by now. I was beginning to think that I made the wrong choice. Maybe I should have gone to Alexandria with Mom and Dad. Then I heard the noise at the buzzer, footsteps. Was it them? I stopped in the middle of the living room and listened, starting past the narrow front hallway to the door. The light was dim in the hallway, but I saw the doorknob turn. That's strange, I thought. Uncle Ben would knock first, wouldn't he? The doorknob turned. The door started to creak open. Hey, I called out, but the word choked in my throat. Uncle Ben would knock. He wouldn't just barge in. Slowly, the door squeaked open as I stared, frozen in the middle of the room, unable to call out. Standing in the doorway was a tall, shadowy figure. I gasped as the figure lurched into the room, and I saw it clearly, even in the dim light. I could see what it was, a mummy, glaring at me with round, dark eyes through holes in its ancient, thick bandages. A mummy, pushing itself off the wall and staring stiffly toward me into the living room, its arms outstretched as if it grabbed me. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came out. Chapter 3. I took a step back, and then another. Without realizing it, I'd raised my little mummy hand in the air, as if trying to fend off the intruder with it. As the mummy staggered into the light, I stared into its deep, dark eyes, and recognized them. "Uncle Ben!" I screamed. Angrily, I heaved the mummy hand at him. It hit his bandaged chest and bounced off. He collapsed backwards against the wall, laughing that booming laugh of his. Well, I guess maybe he was laughing so much he, leaned against the wall. Whatever. And then I saw Sari poking her head into the doorway. She was laughing too. They both thought it was hilarious, but my heart was pounding so hard. Yes, you don't have to have that "so" there. You could just say hard. See, there's a thing called filler words. Filler words are words that you don't need, but you use a lot. Like, I say "so" a lot, and and things like that. I don't have to say them, but they're like a pause. Like, give me a little more time to think, and then I can continue to talk. And sometimes you notice them when I'm recording, or when you're watching a video, rather, because I don't always edit them out, and then sometimes I do. I think it really depends on how much I want to edit that day, but yeah. Yeah is also a filler word, but it can also be a confirmation word. I thought it was going to pop out of my chest. That wasn't funny, I shouted angrily, balling my hands into fists at my side. Wouldn't you know mummies don't actually exist? Even I knew this shit at 12. I took a deep breath, then another, trying to get my breathing to return to normal. I told you he'd be scared, Sari said, walking into the room, a big superior grin on her face. Are you sure it's superior, or do you just feel it's superior? Uncle Ben was laughing so hard. Again, you don't need the "so" there. He had tears running down his bandaged face. He was a big man, tall and broad, and his laughter shook the room. You weren't that scared, were you, Gabe? I knew it was you, I said, my heart still pounding as if it were a wind-up toy someone had wound up too tight. You know, you could just say if it were a toy someone had wound up too tight, and I would have still understood what that meant, and so would have a child. I recognized you right away. You sure looked scared, Sari insisted. I didn't want to spoil the joke, I replied, wondering if they could see how terrified I really was. You should have seen the look on your face, Uncle Ben cried, and started laughing all over again. I told Daddy he shouldn't do it, Sari said, dropping down onto the couch. I'm amazed the hotel people let him come up dressed like that. Uncle Ben bent down and picked up the mummy hand I had tossed at him. You're used to me and my practical jokes, right, Gabe? Yeah, I said, avoiding his eyes. Secretly, I scolded myself for falling for his stupid costume. I was always falling for his dumb jokes, always. And now there was Sari grinning at me from the couch, knowing I was so scared that I practically had a cow. Because you couldn't say pissed myself in a children's book. Uncle Ben pulled some of the bandages away from his face. He stepped over and handed the little mummy hand back to me. Where'd you get that? He asked. Garage sale, I told him. I started to ask him if it was real, but he surrounded me in a big bear hug. The gauze felt rough against my cheek. Good to see you, Gabe, he said Good to see you, Gabe, he said softly. You've grown taller. Almost as tall as me, Sari chimed in. Uncle Ben motioned to her. Get up and help me pull this stuff off. Yes, his stuff off. I was about to say, what? Also, shouldn't this dude have been, packing his stuff in that hour that he's waiting for his uncle and cousin? I kind of like the way you look at it, Sari said. Get over here, Uncle Ben insisted. Sari got up with a sigh, tossing her straight black hair behind her shoulders. She walked over to her dad and started unraveling the bandages. I got a little carried away with this mummy thing, Gabe, Uncle Ben admitted, resting his arm on my shoulder as Sari continued working. But it's just because I'm so excited about what's going on at the pyramid. What's going on? I asked eagerly. Daddy's discovered a whole new burial chamber, Sari broke in before her dad had a chance to tell me himself. He's exploring parts of the pyramid that have been undiscovered for thousands of years. Does that happen during excavations? I said it wrong, I'm sorry. Do people explore pyramids and think they know everything and then find other chambers, years later? I mean, again, I don't really know. That's why I'm asking. He's been exploring parts of the pyramid that have been undiscovered for thousands of years. Really? I cried. That's outstanding, because apparently that's the word for this book, is outstanding. Uncle Ben chuckled. Wait till you see it. See it? I wasn't sure what he meant. You mean you're going to take me into the pyramid? My voice was so high that only dogs could hear it, but I didn't care. I couldn't believe my good luck. I was actually going inside the Great Pyramid, into a section that hadn't been discovered until now. I have no choice, Uncle Ben said dryly. What else am I going to do with you two? Are there mummies in there? I asked. Will we see actual mummies? Do you miss your mummy? Surrey said, her lame idea of a joke. That's not her lame idea of a joke. That has been a joke for a long time. I ignored her. Is there treasure down there, Uncle Ben? Egyptian relics and wall paint? And are there wall paintings? Let's talk about it at dinner, he said, tugging off the lasso bandages. He was wearing a plaid sports shirt and baggy chinos under all the gauze. Chinos? Chinos. I think that's what that says. Chinos. Chinos. Come on, I'm starving. Race you downstairs, Surrey said, and shoved me out of the way to give herself a good head start out of the room. We ate downstairs in the hotel restaurant. There were palm trees painted on the walls, and miniature palm trees planted in big pots around the restaurant. Large wooden ceiling fans whirled slowly overhead. The three of us sat in a large booth. Surrey and I sat across from Uncle Ben. We studied the long menus. They were printed in Arabic and English. Listen to this, Gabe, Surrey said, a smug smile on her face. She began to read the Arabic words aloud. What a show-off. The white-suited waiter brought a basket of flat pita bread and a bowl of green stuff to dip the bread in. I ordered a club sandwich and French fries. Would they have that over there? Like, what the most generic thing to get? Why wouldn't you order something, I don't know, like, surely they have steak or something. I mean, I know this is a kid, and he'd probably be more interested in things he's familiar with, but it's an exotic place. I'm gonna, like, have a nicer meal than that. I could get that anywhere when I come back home. Why would I get it when I'm in Cairo, of all places? Sorry, ordered a hamburger. Okay. Later, as we ate our dinner, Uncle Ben explained a little more about what he discovered at the pyramid. As you probably know, he started tearing off a chunk of the flatbread. The pyramid was built sometime around 2500 BC, during the reign of the pharaoh Khufu? I think I'm saying that right. Khufu. Gesundheit. Sorry, said. Another lame joke. Yeah, it's stupid, but it's not like she invented these jokes. Her father chuckled. I made a face at her. It was the biggest structure of its time, Uncle Ben said. Do you know how wide the base of the pyramid is? Sarah shook her head. No, how wide? She asked with a mouthful of hamburger. I know, I said, grinning. It's 13 acres wide. Hey, that's right, Uncle Ben exclaimed, obviously impressed. Sarah flashed me a surprised look. That's one for me, because you're competing somehow. You know, you say she's competing, but I don't know, she doesn't really seem any different from any normal little kid. You're the one who's making a huge deal out of this. I thought happily, sticking my tongue out at her. And one of my dad's guidebooks. And one for my dad's guidebooks. And one for my dad's guidebooks. The pyramid was built as a royal burial place, Uncle Ben continued, his expression turning serious. The pharaoh made it really enormous so that the burial chamber could be hidden. The Egyptians worried about tomb robbers. Well, no shit, but I guess a little kid reading this might not have learnt this yet. They knew that people would try to break in and take all of the valuable jewels and treasures that were buried alongside their owners. So they built dozens of tunnels and chambers inside, a confusing maze to keep robbers from finding the real burial room. I don't know why I said hiding, I guess because, I'm thinking about them hiding stuff. But why would the robbers hide stuff in the tomb? I don't know. Pass the ketchup, please, Sorry interrupted. I passed her the ketchup. Because we needed to know, she took a moment to ask for ketchup for her hamburger. Sorry's heard all this before, Uncle Ben said, dipping the pita bread into the dark gravy of his plate, though we don't know what he's eating. Anyway, we archaeologists thought we'd uncover all the tunnels and rooms inside this pyramid, but a few days ago my workers and I discovered a tunnel that isn't on any of the charts. Charts? an unexplored, undiscovered tunnel, and we think this tunnel may lead us to the actual burial chamber of Khufu himself." "Outstanding!" I exclaimed, because that's totally a word we used in the 90s to express how things are awesome or cool. "And Sorry and I will be there when you discover it?" Uncle Ben chuckled. "I don't know about that, Gabe. It may take us years of careful exploration. But I'll take you down into the tunnel tomorrow. Then you can tell your friends you were actually inside the ancient pyramid of Khufu." "I've already been in it," Sorry bragged. "Good Lord, how long is this chapter?" Turning her eyes to me. "It's very dark. You might get scared." "No, I won't," I insisted. "No way." The three of us spent the night in my parents' hotel room. It took me hours to get to sleep. I guess I was excited about going into the pyramid. I kept imagining that we found mummies and big chests of ancient jewels and treasure. Uncle Ben woke us up early the next morning, and we drove out to the pyramid outside of Al-Jihaz. Wow, I fail at saying this word. Al-Jiza. It's how I'm going to choose to pronounce it until somebody corrects me. The air was already hot and sticky. The sun seemed to hang low over the desert like an orange balloon. "There it is," Sorry declared, pointing out the window, and I saw the great pyramid rising up from the yellow sand like some kind of mirage. Uncle Ben showed a special permit to the blue uniformed guard, and we followed a narrow private road that curved through the sand behind the pyramid. We parked beside several other cars and vans in a blue-gray shadow of the pyramid. As I stepped out of the car, my chest was thudding with excitement. I stared up at the enormous worn stones of the Great Pyramid. It's over 4,000 years old, I thought. I'm going to go inside something that was built 4,000 years ago. "Your sneakers untied," Sorry said, pointing. She sure knew how to bring a guy back down to earth. I bent in the sand to tie my sneaker. For some reason, the left one was always coming untied, even when I double knotted it. "My workers are already inside," Uncle Ben told us. "Now stick close together, okay? Don't wander off. The tunnels really are like a maze. It's very easy to get lost." "No problem," I said, my trembling voice revealing how nervous and excited I was. "Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on Gabe, Dad," Sorry said. She was only 2 months older than me. Why did she have to act like she was my babysitter or something? Maybe because she actually knows what she's doing there, and she's been there, and you don't? Uncle Ben handed us both flashlights. "Clip them onto your jeans as we go in," he instructed. He gazed at me. You don't believe in curses, do you? You know, the ancient Egyptian kind." I didn't know how to reply, so I shook my head. "Good," Uncle Ben replied, grinning, "because one of my workers claims we violated an ancient decree by entering this new tunnel, and that we've activated some curse." "We're not scared," Sorry said, giving him a playful shove toward the entrance. "Get going, Dad." The entrance. And seconds later, we were stepping into the small square opening cut into the stone. Stooping low, I followed them through a narrow tunnel that seemed to slope gradually down. Uncle Ben led the way, lighting the ground with a bright halogen flashlight. The pyramid floor was soft and sandy. The air was cool and damp. The walls are granite," Uncle Ben said, stopping to rub a hand along the low ceiling. "All of the tunnels were made of limestone." The temperature dropped suddenly. The air felt even wetter. I suddenly realized why Uncle Ben made us wear our sweatshirts. If you're scared, we can go back," Sorry said. "I'm fine," I replied quickly. The tunnel ended abruptly. A pale yellow wall rose up in front of us. Ben's flashlight darted over a small dark hole in the floor. "Down we go," Ben said, groaning as he dropped to his knees. He turned back to me. "Afraid there are no stairs down to the new tunnel. My workers installed a rope ladder. Just take your time on it. Take it slowly, one rung at a time, and you'll be fine." "No problem," I said, but my voice cracked. "Don't look down," Sorry advised. "It might make you dizzy and you'll fall." "Thanks for the encouragement," I told her. I pushed my way past her. I'll go down first, I said. I was already tired of her acting so superior. Or, that's good advice to help you out and you're just kind of being a dick. I decided to show her who was brave and who wasn't, because there's somebody to show that somebody wasn't brave there. No, let me go first, Uncle Ben said, raising a hand to stop me. Then I'll shine the light up at the ladder and help you down. With another groan, he maneuvered himself into the hole. He was so big he nearly didn't fit. Slowly he began to lower himself down the rope ladder. Sorry and I leaned over the hole and peered down, watching him descend. The rope ladder wasn't very steady. It swung back and forth under his weight as he slowly, carefully made his way down. It's a long way down, I said softly. Sorry didn't reply. In the shadowy light, I could see her worried expression. She was chewing on her lower lip as her dad reached the tunnel floor. She was nervous, too. That cheered me up a lot. Or you should have say there that reassured me, but no, apparently our protagonist is a bit of a dick. Okay, I'm down. You're next, Gabe, Uncle Ben called up to me. I turned and swung my feet onto the rope ladder. I grinned at Sorry. See ya. I lowered my hands to the sides of the rope ladder, and I slid them down. As I slid them down, I cried out, ouch. The rope wasn't smooth, it was coarse. I cut my hands. The sharp stab of pain made me lift my hands, and before I even realized what was happening, I started to fall. It's okay. I'm kind of surprised at, I was going to say I'm kind of surprised at the length of the story, but I'm looking at the recording now and I'm just hit an hour. I guess it just really seemed a lot longer than the others have so far. But it's okay with the exception of we're really, really wordy. And I still don't understand why we're thinking using the word outstanding is some kind of phrase kids used in the 90s as a way to express themselves when they got excited. But you probably will enjoy this, I guess. I just don't understand why the main character just kind of became an asshole. There's really no reason for him to suddenly be an asshole. But he is. I'm Caleb, and this has been Red Knot. Thank you for listening. Bye!